thank you to Peanut for having me. So I'm here to talk about hypnobirthing. Now, I should probably start by just explaining a little bit about what hypnobirthing is, but also a sort of disclaimer before I begin. When you do a hypnobirthing course with the Positive Birth Company, we run group classes which are currently taking place over Zoom, and also we have an online course which is the digital pack. Now, the group class is around 10 hours of content and the digital pack is 6 hours. So I'm not going to have the opportunity to cover everything in this session today. So that's my disclaimer, because what I'm going to be able to go through with you today is a little bit about hypnobirthing, the science behind hypnobirthing, and that's the bit that gets the skeptics on board. And then I'm going to be able to share with you some practical tools that you can use to make your birth better, and a little bit of advice about birthing during the pandemic. But the full hypnobirthing course is obviously several hours, and it's a really comprehensive antenatal program. So you shouldn't need to do another antenatal course alongside the hypnobirthing course. We do in fact cover everything you need to know. So anyway, I'm going to crack on. So what is hypnobirthing? Probably the most commonly asked question when I tell anyone I'm a hypnobirthing teacher. Hypnobirthing is simply a program of antenatal education. So it's not just breathing, or it's not just some, what else? What would people think? It's not hypnosis. You're not going to be hypnotized. Trying to think of some of the common misconceptions. Hypnobirthing, it's a strange word. Perhaps there should be a better word for what it is, but it's a program of antenatal education that is both practical and evidence-based. So it's an approach to birth. So it's very much rooted actually in evidence and science and common sense, which might come as a surprise, because I think even myself, when I went to a hypnobirthing course when I was pregnant, 6 years ago, I thought, what are they going to make us do? How strange is it going to be? But actually, as soon as we went through the science that underpins what hypnobirthing is, I was fully committed. And even now when I'm teaching people, even the most skeptical people will get on board once I've gone through the science session. So I'm going to start there. It's a great place to start, because if we dive straight in with the relaxation, it can all seem a bit wishy-washy, and you can think, how is this breathing going to help me birth a baby? But understanding how your body works will mean that you understand exactly how breathing and being calm and all of those other relaxation tools that we teach in hypnobirthing are actually going to have a tangible and positive impact on how your birth pans out. So the science behind birth, in a nutshell, or the most important bit anyway, is that there are two hormones that you need to know about. And that's adrenaline and oxytocin. So adrenaline is the one that you don't want, and oxytocin is the one that you want loads of. So we're going to start with adrenaline. Now, you've probably heard of that hormone before. You usually produce it when you feel scared or anxious or panicked. How do most women feel going into birth in the UK? Probably all of the above. Scared, anxious, worried, panicked even. And so your body will be producing adrenaline. And when your body produces this hormone, the first thing that you'll notice happening is your heart rate starts to increase. So your heart rate starts to beat really quickly, starts to race. And that's the first sort of noticeable sign that your body has started producing adrenaline. You're now entering what's known as fight or flight mode. You've probably heard that. And it's a life-saving mechanism of the bodies. It's very clever. And what it does is your heart will be pumping the blood in your body, which is carrying all of your oxygen to your limbs, to your arms and your legs, so you can fight or take flight and run away. And in a situation where your life is in danger, it's really, really helpful to have extra strong arms or extra strong legs. And you hear stories all the time of people in those kind of life or death moments where they kind of have superhuman strength and they're able to do things that on a regular day they wouldn't be able to do. Like, you hear stories about people doing incredible things like lifting cars off people and scaling buildings. And that's because their body is flooded with adrenaline and they've got all of this additional sort of blood and oxygen being sent very quickly to their arms and legs. They can do incredible things. So it's an amazing thing that your body can do. However, when you're trying to birth a baby, and perhaps you're in a birthing pool or you're on a hospital bed or you're at home, you don't want, oh, bless me, I felt that sneeze coming and I was like, no. go away, sneeze. Sorry. Right. Ignore that. Carry on. So when you're in a birthing pool and you're trying to give birth, you don't want extra strong arms and extra strong legs, because hopefully you're not going to be in a situation where you need to fight anyone or take flight and run away. So you're producing this adrenaline because you're scared and you're anxious and you're worried. Your body, your heart rate is racing, your blood and oxygen has been sent to your arms and legs. You've got these super strong arms and these super strong legs, which are completely unnecessary in the given situation. And what's actually happening in the uterus area, so your uterus is your womb, that's your uterus muscles, they're the ones that are going to be working really hard during labor to actually help your cervix to dilate and then to birth your baby. Those muscles are going to start to be deprived of blood and oxygen as it's redirected to your arms and legs. So your body doesn't just produce new blood to go to your arms and legs, it actually redirects blood in your body from where it's less necessary to where it believes it's more necessary. So when your body thinks that it's in a life or death situation, it's going to think, well, the uterus isn't going to save my life, so it's going to send it to your arms and legs. But the reality is, when you're in labor, your uterus is exactly where you want that blood and that oxygen to be going, because it's the uterus muscles that are going to be working really hard. So what happens then when you're producing adrenaline, when the blood and oxygen is going to your arms and your legs, it's reduced to your uterus muscles. They're trying to work really hard. So to demonstrate the impact, what I want you to do now is join me in a really little 60-second exercise. Okay, I can't see you, so I can't check you're doing it. So I'm just going to have to trust you. What I want you to do is I want you to elevate your arm straight up in the air. I know you can't really see my arm here, but like this. And I want you to clench and open your hand like this. So straight up in the air. I'm trying to fit my arm in the screen here. And I want you to do this. And I want you to do that for 60 seconds. So I'm just going to get a little stopwatch up now, quickly on my phone. Oh, sorry, just 1 second. You can put your arm down for now so it doesn't get tired. Right, I'll tell you when to start. Okay, so arm straight up in the air. And I want you to do this. Open and close your hand, but straight up in the air. Okay, go. I'm cheating, but I'm only doing this so that you can see it on the screen. But hopefully you've all got your arms straight up in the air, okay? And what I want you to imagine is that your hand is designed to do this. So in theory, it shouldn't be problematic. And I want you to open and close your hand like this, imagining that this is your uterus muscles working really hard in labor. So every time you experience a surge or a contraction, your uterus muscles are going to be drawing up, contracting, drawing up, and helping your cervix to open. And that's what's going to be happening every time you're having a surge or a contraction. And then once all of the horizontal muscles of the uterus have been gathered up around the top and you're fully dilated, the internal band of muscles in the uterus are then going to start to move downwards, and that's what's going to push your baby down and out. Right, we're nearly coming up to 60 seconds. Keep going. Right, 1 minute. There we go. You can stop now. I know I was cheating, so that was easier for me, but hopefully what you started to feel very quickly was that it was getting more painful and your hand was slowing down and it was becoming more difficult because it was elevated in the air. So what's happening at that point is the blood and oxygen in your body is finding it more difficult to get to your hand because it's having to travel all the way up your arm, which is elevated. So therefore the blood and oxygen getting to the hand is being reduced, and very, very quickly you notice the difference. So it probably slowed down. It became more difficult to do that and more painful. Now, that is exactly what is going to happen to your uterus muscles when you're in labor if the blood and oxygen going to that area is reduced. The muscles are going to slow down. It's going to be more difficult for them to work efficiently, and it's going to become more painful. If the uterus muscles slow down, and bear in mind that's what's responsible for opening your cervix and helping to birth your baby, then a likely outcome is that your labor is going to take longer. It becomes more difficult, they become less effective. So the likelihood is that your dilation is going to slow down, which will lead to intervention being offered. Also, it's becoming increasingly more painful, which is what you would have felt with your hand, and it's what's going to happen with your uterus muscles. Now, if someone is frightened, they're producing adrenaline, the muscles are becoming slow, they're slowing down, becoming less effective, becoming more painful. Do you think someone's going to feel more or less frightened? obviously they're going to become more frightened. So you can see how a woman can very easily enter this cycle of being frightened about birth, producing adrenaline, the muscles being deprived of blood and oxygen, the uterus muscles, them slowing down, becoming less effective, more pain, and therefore more fear, more adrenaline. And someone could easily fall into this fear, tension, pain cycle. Coincidentally, fear, tension, pain, FTP, also stands for one of my least, one of the phrases I like least, which is failure to progress, which is a term that's used if somebody's body isn't dilating as quickly as one would expect, or slowing down or even stalling completely, then the term failure to progress is used. Not a nice term, because you can't fail at birth, by the way. However your baby comes out, nobody has failed at birth. So I hate that phrase, but anyway, that's a commonly used phrase. And that's exactly what happens coincidentally when you're in that fear, tension, pain cycle. Everything sort of slows down, and then you don't progress as quickly as expected. And that's a key reason then for intervention to be offered to speed things up. Also, your baby is in your uterus, and your baby is obviously benefiting from the blood flow and the oxygen. So it's also possible that when the blood flow and oxygen is reduced to the uterus area, that actually your baby starts to show signs of distress, and also might start to tire as the length of the labor increases, which is another reason that intervention might be offered. So it all sounds a bit doom and gloom, but that's where hypnobirthing comes in, because we aim to break that cycle, that fear, tension, pain cycle. And how we're going to do that is by removing the fear around birth. So much of what you will learn on a hypnobirthing course is actually the psychology of birth, preparing your mind, understanding that the mind and body are connected, and preparing your mind so that you can go into birth feeling confident and in control, and therefore not feeling frightened at all. And then the hormone that you will produce, the one that I said at the beginning is the good one, the one we want loads of, is oxytocin. And oxytocin, it's not just on the would be nice to have list, it's an essential part of labor. Oxytocin is the hormone that actually fuels every single surge or contraction you experience when you're in labor. And so much so that if you're induced, which means the labor is started artificially, the drug that you're given to initiate that process and to keep that process going is syntocinon, which is synthetic oxytocin. So you'll either have your own natural supply of oxytocin or a synthetic version, syntocinon, to ensure that labor starts and continues. So oxytocin is the opposite of adrenaline. Oxytocin is your feel-good hormone. It's the hormone you produce when you're relaxed, when you're happy, when you have sex, when you feel good. And yeah, that's the hormone that fuels labor. So on a hormonal level, labor is designed to feel good, which I know is at odds with everything that you've probably been conditioned to believe. So we want to encourage the flow of oxytocin. Another great thing that's worth knowing is that actually the more oxytocin you produce, you inhibit your body's producing adrenaline, because you can't be simultaneously relaxed and in a state of panic. So when you produce oxytocin, you actually are in a calm, relaxed state of mind. So you're less likely to produce adrenaline. So the next question is, how can you get your body to produce oxytocin? And that's through being relaxed. So that's why a lot of hypnobirthing, we talk about relaxation techniques and the relaxation toolkit. And so it's not as airy-fairy as it sounds. It's actually, as I've just explained, quite a lot of science behind it, that the more relaxed you are in labor, the more oxytocin you produce, the quicker, easier, and more straightforward your labor and birth will be. And the better you will feel psychologically, you will feel in a better headspace. So even if intervention does become necessary, if you're producing oxytocin, you're working with your body and you're in a good state of mind. So moving on then to the relaxation toolkit, I'm going to teach you now, or share with you, one of the many tools that we cover on a hypnobirthing course. And the one that I've chosen to share with you today is the breathing technique, because I think it's an absolute game changer. Honestly, if you take one thing from a hypnobirthing course, without a doubt, I say take the breathing technique. It's really easy. It's free. You can do it any place at any time. You've always got your breath with you. So there's no reason why you won't be able to do this. So when When I say about the breathing technique, this is for use during the surges or contractions, whether you call them surges or contractions. So all I want you to do is, in a minute, we'll go through it together, but essentially breathing in through your nose for a count of approximately 4. And as you breathe in, I want you to imagine and indeed feel your lungs filling with air and your whole body expanding. And then as you exhale, you breathe out slowly through your mouth for a count of approximately 8. And as you do so, feeling everything release and relax. So feeling your shoulders drop and everything soften, release and relax. And then what we're going to do, that in for 4, out for 8, we're going to do that 4 times over. Now, if you struggle to breathe in for a full count of 4, or you struggle to breathe out for a full count of 8, you can absolutely adjust that to make it work for you. So you could do in for 3 and out for 6. As long as you make the exhale longer, that's going to be really effective. So breathing in, feeling everything expand, and then exhaling and feeling everything soften and relax. So we're going to do that together now, and I'll count for you. But just one little word or sort of wisdom is in for 4, out for 8, takes 12 seconds. If you do that 4 times over, that's approximately 48 seconds of breathing. So less than a minute. So a really quick amount of time. And that is how long a surge or a contraction typically lasts for when you're in established labour. So we so often hear that people were in labour for 15 hours and we think that's such a long time. How could you manage that? But it's really important to remember that you experience a surge or a contraction. It lasts, when you're in established labour, for around 45 seconds to a minute, and then you get a little bit of respite to recover before you feel the next one come on. So they're spread across your labour, each surge or contraction, so that you can actually, so that they're manageable. So when you do this breathing technique, if you focus on the breathing rather than the sensations that you're experiencing, so in for 4, out for 8, 4 times over, maybe you focus on the sensation inside your body of the inhale and the exhale, or maybe you focus on a visualization, or maybe you focus on the counting. Whatever you focus on for that 60 seconds, you know that when you open your eyes, having done your last exhale, that surge will have passed completely, or certainly it will just be tailing off. So hopefully that's a really reassuring thing, and you can do anything for 60 seconds. So let's give it a go. Obviously I can't see you, so again, I'm just going to trust that you're joining in. So I'd like to invite you all now just to close your eyes for a moment so that you can really focus on your breath. And then I'm going to count for you. So we're going to breathe in through the nose for a count of 4, and then slowly exhaling through your mouth for a count of 8, 4 times over. Okay. So breathing in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hopefully you feel a little calmer and a little more relaxed. It's a really, really effective and simple technique. And it's not just for birth, actually. It's not a birth-specific breathing technique. You'll find that breathing technique in so many places. It's recommended for insomnia. It's recommended for anxiety. It's recommended for everything, really. It works by down-regulating your nervous system, slowing your heart rate and reducing the amount of adrenaline your body's producing. So it's a life skill. You can use that in your pregnancy, during labour, postnatally, whenever and wherever. I even just randomly the other day, I had a neon little spray. It's like a feel good on the go spray. And I read on the back, it said, spritz this spray, then inhale, I think it said for 7, and then exhale, inhale through your nose for 7, exhale through your mouth for 11, which slightly different timings, but essentially a nice deep inhale and a slower, longer exhale. So it's everywhere. It's a proven and really effective breathing technique. And if you use that in labour, it's going to give you something to focus on. It's going to ensure you're bringing oxygen into your body rather than just holding your breath, which you might be tempted to do. So it ensures you're bringing oxygen into your body. It helps to slow down your heart rate and keep you in what I call the green state of relaxation, where you're producing all that necessary oxytocin, and it helps you to feel good. So hopefully you'll take that one away with you. You can practice it as much as you like. You know, it's a great time to practice it is in the evening, sort of when you're in bed before you fall asleep. It's a lovely, relaxing, enjoyable breath. So in for 4, out for 8, 4 times over. And of course you can adjust those breathing techniques. You can adjust, the timings to what's comfortable for you. But just imagine your body filling with air, expanding, and then exhaling and releasing. So that's just one of the sort of relaxation tools that we teach that is part of the Hypnobirthing toolkit. And hopefully, having gone through the science, although very quickly, you understand the positive impact it's going to have on your body to be producing oxytocin and to reduce the amount of adrenaline that your body's producing when you're in labour. Also, the great thing about that breathing technique is it's really effective, for any type of birth. So even if you're having a planned cesarean birth and you're going down to theatre, it would be normal to feel a bit anxious. This breathing technique will help at any point. So even if you're in theatre, it will help you to stay calm and relaxed so you can meet your baby in the best possible way. Okay, now let's just moving on to what else we're going to cover. So so in terms of lockdown and the global pandemic that we're currently living in, and a really difficult and challenging time, obviously, to be pregnant and to be having a baby and to be a new mum in the middle of a pandemic. In regards to actually preparing for labour and birth, when we do a hypnobirthing course, birth partners are really encouraged to be part of it. Birth partners learn how they can support you. So it's really beneficial for them to do the course. But obviously, I know, firsthand from having spoken to so many of our community, that one of the biggest worries that people are facing at the minute is the possibility of labouring or birthing alone. Now, the rules are that you should have your birth partner with you when you give birth. But although they're changing all the time, I think the sort of vast majority of antenatal units are not allowing birth partners in to keep numbers down. So hopefully you'll be at home for the early stages of labour. Once things are established, you'll then travel in to the hospital or the birth centre where your birth partner will be able to join you because you're in established labour. That's the ideal scenario, so you won't be alone. But there's a possibility that you might travel into the hospital or birth centre early, not be in established labour yet, and therefore have to be on the antenatal ward for a period of time where you might find yourself alone. Also, if you're being induced, so therefore you're going into the hospital, into that antenatal ward prior to labour beginning to be induced, it could then be some time before you're in established labour and then your birth partner is able to join you on the labour ward. Also as well, just with isolation rules, track and trace, people having to self-isolate, that could happen. So that could be another reason why you might end up labouring and birthing alone. Obviously not what anybody wants, but I know that it's a very real worry for a lot of people at this time. So what I want to tell you a little bit about now is our wonderful app called Freya. And Freya is a virtual birth partner and a hypnobirthing friendly surge timer. Now, Freya probably won't actually replace your real life birth partner, or indeed be quite as good as your real life birth partner, but a really good second best. So you can download Freya from both the App Store and the Google Play Store. And what Freya will do is every time, it's a very simple, clean, sort of easy to use interface. You just press the button, the surge button, which is the big round circle in the middle, and Freya will actually count for you. So like I just did that counting with you then, in for 4, out for 8, Freya will count for you. You can even adjust in settings, how you want her to count for you, whether you want 3 and 6 or 4 and 8. Also, the visualization on the screen is an expanding and then reducing circle, which is timed perfectly in sync with the counting. So you can always mute it if you get sick of the counting and you prefer to focus on the visual. So what Freya will do is coach you through every single surge or contraction by either counting for you or guiding you with that visualization. And then in between, when I told you, you've got that little respite in between surges, she'll play you a mix of positive affirmations to keep you feeling confident and focused. She'll also play you a mix of guided meditations, which are mindfulness, which is part of mindfulness practice, which again helps you to stay calm and relaxed. You can listen to your Spotify playlist with Freya. So if you've created yourself a birthing playlist, you can listen to that. And whilst all that's going on, she'll also be keeping track of your surges. So how frequently they're coming, how long they're lasting, which usually you'd probably rely on your birth partner to keep track of that. So if your birth partner's not with you, you can use the Freya app and she will keep a log. So you can just visit that log at any point to see how frequently the surges are coming and how long they're lasting. And then once you reach that magic pattern of 3 surges in a 10-minute period, each one lasting 45 seconds to a minute, which is the guidance around when you might come to understand that you're in established labour. So midwives always say, keep track of your surges. And then when you reach that 3 in 10, lasting 45 seconds upwards, that's when you might call the midwife or travel into the birth centre or hospital. So once you reach that, the app will actually let you know, and the app will change to green and let you know that you've reached that pattern. So a really, really handy little tool. Obviously, you can use it alongside your actual birth partner, or if you don't have your birth partner with you, then you can use the Freya app to keep you calm and focused as you navigate your experience. Also, you can use Freya in pregnancy for practice. So you can listen for the guided meditations, the positive affirmations. We talked about breaking that cycle of fear, tension, pain by removing the fear. So all the work that you do now in pregnancy to build positive associations with birth will help you reduce that fear and anxiety. And positive affirmations is a proven way of doing that. So you can listen to positive affirmations on the app. You can listen to the guided meditation, you can practice the breathing, and then you can just delete those practice surges from the log or even reset the app if you'd rather. So hopefully that's my top tip for birthing in the pandemic, is to get the Freya app and start practicing now. I think that's everything that I wanted to go through, but if anyone's got any questions, I think there's the possibility of being able to answer questions here. So let me see if I can see them here. There are a couple of questions. So if you've got, please feel free. If you can see where to ask a question, feel free to do that. So someone's asked about excitement. Yeah, absolutely. You can feel excited, feeling good. That will all help you to produce oxytocin. So someone they've mentioned about sex or having an orgasm, you're probably not relaxed in the sense that you're sleepy when you have an orgasm. You're probably more excited, but that's when you produce tons of oxytocin. So absolutely feeling excited and relaxed. That's what we're aiming for, rather than fearful and anxious and in panic. Someone said here they've tried lots of different meditation techniques in the past and find the breathing exercise stressful. The focus on breath makes me feel a little panic. So there's different things that you can focus on. So, when we've just talked about focusing on the counting, so listening to either the Freya app counting you through or your birth partner. Or you can focus on the sensation of just ignoring counting and just focusing on the sensation of filling your lungs and then exhaling and feeling everything soften. But if it's the focus on the breath itself that makes you feel panicked, then perhaps a visualization will work for you. So you could ignore the counting, ignore the sensation, and actually focus on a visual. So that could be imagining a sunrise. So as you breathe in, you imagine the sun rising up over the horizon. And as you breathe out, it moves up into the sort of midday position. It could be waves, imagining sort of the swell in the sea and then the waves breaking and then, the way that they sort of break and draw back. You could imagine something like that. You could imagine a party balloon inflating, and then if you just let go of it, it kind of goes up into the sky. You could imagine bubbles or a golden thread. So that's a common one in yoga. As you exhale, you imagine a golden thread extending from your mouth towards the horizon. So sometimes, focusing on a visualization can be really powerful and help you with your breathing without actually focusing on the breathing itself. So I hope that helps. Someone's asked which course is best to do. So we offer 2 different hypnobirthing courses. So one is our group class. Those usually run at different venues across the country, but at the minute they're on Zoom because of the pandemic. So those are live classes. You sign up, we run them over a weekend, or there's an option to do them over 4 weeks in the evening. So one evening each week. You'll be part of a group which you can interact with, kind of meet other people. So that's one option. With that option, you also get sent a copy of the book and the goodie bag and all of the things that you'd normally receive if you were attending one of our courses. But also we have what's known as a digital pack, which is our online hypnobirthing program. And that is over 6 hours of content. It's the fully comprehensive course. It comes with all the MP3s, the course notes booklet, your birth preferences templates, access to an amazing private community for ongoing support. It's got a feeding guide, an infant feeding guide covering breastfeeding, bottle feeding, expressing. There's just so much in the digital pack. It's all online, so you aren't sent any physical items. And that's just £39. And it is Black Friday tomorrow, so I just say a little hint just to maybe check it out tomorrow. And that's our online course. So either one, I mean, they've both got advantages and sort of pros and cons. So being part of a group class, you're live with the teacher, so it's a bit more interactive, so you can ask questions. The course is sort of tailored to the people in the group. You get to meet other parents. You get sent the goodie bag. The online course, the digital pack, there isn't interaction because it's pre-recorded, but you can work through it at your own pace. You can revisit the videos, you can rewatch them, and that's just £39. So it's cheaper, whereas the group class is £200. So there's different options, but both of them are fully comprehensive antenatal courses. Someone's asked how often I would recommend practicing the breathing and relaxation methods. So there's no sort of right or wrong answer, but obviously the more practice you do, the better, because it will become second nature to you. You're also conditioning yourself through that practice to associate the things that you're doing with that lovely deep relaxation that you're creating. And so you'll be able to access that a lot faster the more times you've practiced it. You know, if you practice the breathing once and then, you know, weeks later you go into labor, it won't be second nature. Whereas if you've practiced that, you know, throughout your pregnancy, it's going to come to you much more easily. So as often as possible. But personally, what I recommend doing is kind of building it into your nightly routine. So just as you sort of brush your teeth every evening before you go to bed, maybe you take your makeup off, you've got your little nightly routine, trying to incorporate relaxation practice into that. So it just becomes sort of automatic. So maybe getting into bed, doing a few little repetitions of the breathing, you know, even just 60 seconds, then perhaps listening to a guided meditation audio, or getting your birth partner to read one of the scripts that you'll find in the course notes booklet, and just sort of, practicing that even just a few minutes, you know, every single evening. That would be what I'd recommend. Someone's asked, is 38 weeks too late to start the digital pack? A great question. Absolutely not. I've had so many women who have signed up and done the digital pack when they're already past their due date, and then they've come back to share their story and said how much it helped them, because it's never too late to learn more about what to expect, to equip yourself with knowledge and tools that you can use to make your birth better. Even if you did the digital pack in the morning and you gave birth later that day, it's going to be a huge help, because there's so much covered in the digital pack. You know, not just all of the relaxation tools, but a framework to help you make decisions if things become more challenging. There's just so much. It's fully comprehensive. So absolutely not too late. It's 6 hours of content. You can binge watch it over 1 or 2 evenings if you want to. And also remember that your due period is all the way from 37 weeks to 42 weeks. So, you know, if you're 38 weeks pregnant now, you could have another 4 weeks to go. So hopefully plenty of time to work your way through that content. Someone's asked another great question. How can we come back to the relaxed, good breathing space after having a panicked moment? So this is where birth partners can play an absolutely pivotal role. So what I say when I'm teaching to birth partners is to be aware of the kind of what I call the traffic light system. So green is where you're in a complete state of calm relaxation. Amber is where you're creeping into some tension, and that could manifest itself either physically. So birth partners might see shoulders, being raised, might see hands being clenched, and those would be signs that you're feeling more tense. Also, it could be more emotional, mental tension. So saying things like, I can't do this anymore, or how much longer, and just indicating that you're feeling more stressed. So if birth partners notice you going into amber, that's when they can start to use their toolkit to bring you back down into green. So hopefully you'll never reach red, which is where I call the panic zone. But even if you do reach red, how you're going to bring yourself back down to the green is knowing, first of all, understanding how your body works, and knowing wholeheartedly, knowing that the more relaxed you are, the easier it's going to be. And I remember being in labor and noticing that just from one surge to another. If I was in the birthing room and I was calm and relaxed, the surge would pass really quite easily and in a nice straightforward way. Then at another point, I was going to the toilet. I was sort of mid in the bathroom, and then the surge came, and I wasn't obviously in the right headspace. So I was very tense, and I was feeling stressed because I was trying to go to the toilet, but then the surge was really strong, and then my birth partner wasn't in the room, and I thought, I can't do this when he's not counting for me. And that was a really difficult surge to get through just because I wasn't feeling so relaxed. So knowing that how helpful it is to be relaxed will help you to be kind of committed to getting back to green. And then the practical ways you can do that is through your breathing. So connecting back with your breath, in for 4, out for 8, with your visualizations. Maybe your birth partner's counting for you. Maybe you're using the Freya app. Maybe it's time to switch the audio. So putting on some positive affirmations or some relaxing music, or even some uplifting music. Music is so powerful in terms of how it impacts how you're feeling. Things like lowering the lights can help, using your 5 senses checklist, which is another thing I go through on the digital pack, transforming your space to help you to feel more relaxed and less inhibited. So there's so many different tools and techniques you can do to help yourself move back down into the green state of relaxation, but also a load of things that birth partners can help with to facilitate that too. Someone's asked about the pain getting overwhelming and you start to panic. So one thing that hypnobirthing is not is anti-pain relief. And I think that's another common misconception, that hypnobirthing is just for, people who are giving birth at home in the water, listening to whale music. And that's not at all. Hypnobirthing is about preparing and helping you prepare for a positive birth experience. And all births have the potential to be positive. There's not just one type. A positive birth doesn't look one way. How a baby is born doesn't dictate whether the birth was positive or not. What dictates or shapes whether an experience was positive was how you felt during that experience. So you can have a really positive and empowering unplanned cesarean birth, and equally you can have a very distressing and traumatic birth that on paper might look really straightforward because you felt out of control or overwhelmed in the experience. So it's all about how you felt during the experience that shapes whether you can look back and feel it was a positive birth rather than a traumatic experience. So I sort of lost my way there with what I was talking about. But so we're not hypnobirthing teachers are not anti-pain relief. What we want is for you to have a positive experience. And so if the pain gets overwhelming and you're starting to suffer, that's not going to be a positive experience. So use the pain relief. It's there for a reason. It's effective. So that's another thing you shouldn't be worried about, because there's solutions. There's gas and air, there's pethidine, there's an epidural. There are lots of options available to you, so that whether or not the hypnobirthing tools by themselves are effective enough, or you need to use something else to help you, you're going to be able to navigate your birth feeling calm, in control and comfortable. And that's really, really important. Someone's asked if I have any tips for getting a partner on board with hypnobirthing and attempting birth without medication pain relief if their understanding of birth is very medicalized, fear-driven. Well, the second part of that question, if someone's understanding of birth is very medicalized and fear-driven, get them to do a hypnobirthing course, absolutely, it'll be eye-opening and so insightful for them. Tips for getting them on board with hypnobirthing in the first place is trying to get them to understand the science behind hypnobirthing, because the people that are apprehensive about doing a hypnobirthing course generally are people that don't know what hypnobirthing is, and they've dismissed it because of the name. They think it's a bit strange. They think someone's going to get hypnotized. They're not quite sure exactly how this is going to help make birth better. So what you want to do is sell the scientific side of hypnobirthing. It's an evidence-based approach to birth. And on our YouTube channel, actually on the Positive Birth Company YouTube channel, we have a whole series of free videos. They're bite-sized sort of taster videos, which give a really good introduction to hypnobirthing. So even if you get your birth partner to watch just one of those videos, and they're about 4 minutes long, hopefully that will give them enough to just sort of pique their interest, and hopefully they'll get on board and sign up to do the course with you. So on that note, someone's recommended, do you recommend hypnobirthing courses should be attended by partners too? Absolutely. And I actually often say that surprisingly, a hypnobirthing course can sometimes be even more beneficial for birth partners than for mums themselves, because for mums, just breathe. That's the main thing I'm going to tell you to focus on all the way through your labor, is breathe. Breathe through each surge, relax in between. Really, you shouldn't have anything else to have to focus on or worry about during the experience, because all of your focus will be on what's happening and the fact that you are giving birth. That's enough. You've got enough on your plate. Birth partners actually have loads that they can do. So from sort of monitoring at the beginning in early labor, knowing when to call the midwife, when to get you to the birth centre or the hospital, or to call the midwife to come out to you if you're having a home birth. They're in charge of setting the scene. They're by your side, on your side, coaching you through each surge, helping you to relax in between, using their traffic light system and their toolkit to keep you in the green. They're also advocating for you, ensuring they understand your birth preferences, making sure that those preferences are being respected and met. They're using the brain framework that I teach, so they can ask all the right questions if things arise, so that they can then communicate that to you gently in between surges. So birth partners have a massive to-do list and can play a really incredible role. And most birth partners want that. They want some help. They want to help themselves, and they just need to know how. So having that to-do list is really empowering for them. So I actually often say on a course that birth partners will get as much, if not more, out of doing the course than women themselves. So advice for being induced. The great thing about hypnobirthing is you can use all of the toolkit with induction. And a lot of times I'm asked, can you use hypnobirthing with induction? Honestly, it's even more helpful and even more important. When things become challenging or difficulties arise in your labor, you'll be even more grateful that you did the hypnobirthing course, because it's in those times that you'll really rely on those tools, on those decision-making tools, that framework for asking the right questions, the toolkit for helping you relax, understanding what's going to aid and make the induction a more comfortable and straightforward experience. So absolutely do the hypnobirthing course. Remembering about being in transforming your environment, the 5 senses checklist. You can transform any space into one that's conducive for relaxation. A UFO position, which is an optimum position for birth, with gravity on your side, breathing through each surge or contraction, relaxing in between, using all the other tools from your toolkit, and then obviously using the brain framework when and if and when you need to make more decisions. So absolutely, honestly, hypnobirthing is for all types of people and all types of birth. So Olivia has asked, how do you buy and access the course? So on our website, which is thepositivebirthcompany.co.uk, as I mentioned earlier, maybe hold off till tomorrow. It's Black Friday. I say no more, but yeah, just maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow's the day. When do you advise starting the classes? So really, there's no right or wrong time. It's never too late to learn, but equally, if you're thinking about it now and you're in the early stages of pregnancy, there's also no reason to delay. Certainly with the online course, you can revisit the material, you can rewatch the videos. So you might as well benefit from the material and the content now, because once you start watching it, you'll feel more confident right away. And so you may as well get more weeks of enjoyment from your pregnancy than go through your pregnancy feeling really anxious and fearful, then doing the course and thinking, I wish I'd done this earlier. So, there's no there's no sort of start date. You can start as soon as you want to. Someone's asked about a Black Friday discount for group classes. I don't think that there will be. I'm not meant to be talking about this Black Friday discount, but no, I think that would just be the online courses. Someone's asked, 2 quick births will hypnobirthing encourage another speedy delivery? So no, hypnobirthing will help you to be calm, relaxed, and in control. And I had a really speedy second birth, actually. And people often think that, oh, it's lucky if it's quick, but being quick can be quite intense. So I can understand your concerns there. And then my third birth was much slower, again, using hypnobirthing. So I don't think in terms of really quick labours that hypnobirthing will sort of have any negative impact there. I'm skipping through some questions just because I've answered them already in regards to birth partners watching the digital pack. Absolutely, if you can, get them on board. Also, birth partners, what they can do ahead of birth. So helping you with your relaxation practice, that can be a really nice way to involve your birth partner, because if you're carrying the baby, you know, sort of you're quite connected with the baby. It's hard if you're the birth partner, you know, you're not going through that experience. So involving your partner in the relaxation practice, they feel, you know, even in pregnancy, that they're playing a part. And also, obviously, it's really nice, and also nice for you as a couple, if you know, if your birth partner is your partner, to actually connect and do that practice together. So get them to count for you with the breathing, maybe read you a guided relaxation script, the light touch massage, all of those kind of tools from the toolkit you'll learn if you do the course or the digital pack. They can be really involved with that. And so someone's asking, what stage of pregnancy is it best to start the course? So this is my last question, by the way, so I'm just going to close this down now. There is no right or wrong time to start the course. So it's never too late, and also it's never too early. So if you're in the early stages of pregnancy and you're thinking about doing a hypnobirthing course, so you might as well start now, because you're going to feel immediately better, and then you're going to be able to enjoy your pregnancy. And certainly if you've done the online course, you can go back when you're sort of later on in your pregnancy and rewatch the videos and have a little refresher. But once you start to learn about how labour and birth works, you'll feel more empowered, you'll feel more confident. The relaxation skills, as I mentioned, will make you feel good immediately. You know, they're life skills, they're beneficial for your mental health, and we're in the middle of a global pandemic, so everybody's suffering to some degree. So those relaxation skills are life skills. They'll offer you multiple benefits across many areas of your life right away. So I'd really recommend it. And then you can start preparing, you know, mentally for a really positive birth and start to look forward to it. And that's a great thing about hypnobirthing, is when you finish the course, you will feel excited for your birth, which is how everyone should feel, because you are on this incredibly positive pathway to meeting this much longed for baby. So you should feel really good and really excited. And I'm excited for you, genuinely. I wish that it was me about to give birth. You know, you're on the cusp of something really incredible. So yeah, hypnobirthing is life-changing. I can't sing its praises enough. I hope that I've given you a little bit of insight into what it is. And if you'd like to learn more, then do check out our YouTube channel, which is The Positive Birth Company, where we have so much free content there. We're at The Positive Birth Company on Instagram. We share positive affirmations and positive birth stories daily. So loads of good vibes over there. And if you do want to do the course, then we have our online course, which is the digital pack. And we're also offering group classes, which run over weekends and also in the evenings. And you can find out more on the website, which is thepositivebirthcompany.co.uk. So thanks so much